Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're listening from. I'm so happy you could join us today at Olive Talks with Ade Jumoke. Today we're going to be talking about something very peculiar. Yes, I say peculiar because I can so relate. You see, the struggles, the hurt, the pain, the stigma, and everything that goes with, having a child outside wedlock is mostly talked about when the woman has reason to stardom, and then she comes all out and she's sharing her experiences. You can listen to her story, her voice becomes heard. Why? Because results, they say, speak, right? That's okay. But I put it to you today that there are so many women out there, a lot of them, who have raised and are still raising well-rounded and grounded children they had outside wedlock. People who saw these actions and decided to make the most out of it. We are not here to applaud having children outside wedlock, but we're here to show you that if your actions, mistakes will affect you, then let it be positively. Let it bring out the best in you. And such is the story of our guest today, Joy Kofuen. The other part of her name, I don't want to spoil it. I can't pronounce it very well. You see, Joy has a very peculiar story. Joy is a journalist with over 4 years experience. She's currently the managing editor of West Africa Weekly, a digital news platform covering West Africa. She holds a BA in mass communication from the University of Jos and is the mother of the most beautiful 15-year-old princess. Joy, as she's mostly known, is full of joy. She often say her parents chose her a good name because despite life's challenges, she has remained ever joyful. She believes she's God's favorite. Join me this morning as we welcome and listen to this strong woman share her life story with you and I, and see, believe, and know that God is in your story as well. So Joy, I don't know. I want you to calm down and we're just going to take it from the top. Relax. Even if we need to make this, into episodes, I really don't mind, because the importance of capturing your story is to let people know that God is in our story. And that in every process, every stage, He shows up. I remember we were sharing something with me, and I felt like God even arranged the whole thing. Like He was just there. You had a way of seeing, God had a way of showing up in every situation. Right?
Literally.
Yes.
Peak.
Yes.
When I went back home, so I'm just jumping into this.
Yeah.
When I went back home, there was a part I didn't even tell you.
Right.
Like it was the icing on the cake.
So you tell me on set now. So I'm probably going to be like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind, right? But you have a daughter.
Yeah, I do.
You have a daughter, and you're doing quite an amazing job raising such a strong girl. She's 14. She's a teenager. And we bless God for God is helping you. But Joy, how did you come about this? You don't come across as a wayward girl that wanted to be rebellious. I just wanted to go out there and sleep around. So something happened. What happened, and how did you arrive at this point in your life when it comes to motherhood? So please, the floor is
quite an interesting journey. Thank you very much, by the way, for this. This is the first time I would be sharing a very personal part of me. I can count on one hand how many people know the story. Even family, I can count on one hand how many people have heard this. So this is the first time I'll be coming out to say something very personal about that journey. So I come from my dad of blessed memories was a pastor. So I grew up in a Christian home where we wake up in the morning, there's devotion, there's say your memory verses in church. We were very active in church, children choir, and all of that. But well, I guess life, God has his plan. The devil also, of course, will always be there to looking around to find loopholes to pick. Well, 2009, after I graduated secondary school, my sister was doing a very petty business, small business. She was selling recharge card and then provisions, just very small kiosks. So after secondary school, she was like, while you wait for admission, why not come and join me in this business, and let's see how it goes, because she was going to school at that point. She just got admission and she was going to school.
Okay.
So we needed that business to keep going.
Right.
So come manage the business while I go to school and you wait for admission. It was a good plan, of course. And then in the course of the business, I met someone who, of course, I love you, and fresh out, just seeing the world, and someone saying, of course,
Sweeten out things. I get you.
so of course, boyfriend, okay, yes, and then one thing led to another, and eventually I got pregnant. I was very afraid. I didn't know I was
I was going to
pregnant.
ask that. Did you know? I mean,
I didn't know I was pregnant. So there was this friend, my elder sister's friend, who was in the house with us.
Right.
So a month passed, and she was one random Sunday. She just came out, and I was like, Joy, have you seen your period? And I'm like, no, maybe next week. Maybe it's going to come next week. And she was like, I remember the last time we had our period at the same time. So, and I've seen my period for this month. So I said, maybe yes. I was totally oblivious of and she said, okay, maybe let's do a test.
Sorry, this time you were away from your parents' environment.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so your sister
I was
was
my
living-
sister, yeah.
Okay, alright.
So we were an hour away from our family house.
Family house, okay.
Yeah, so she was, let's check. And I was, of course, let's check. Let's check.
Like you have nothing to hide.
Let's check.
Oh my
How
God.
can I possibly
No.
Yeah, it didn't cross.
I
And then we
know.
checked. And I was pregnant. Who? I said, sick person. Okay. Would you tell him all of those chaos? And eventually informed him, and he said, okay, yeah, he's no problem. He did not, there was no back and
He
forth.
didn't deny.
There was at all. Except, at least, I think, I don't know, he just accepted. We are here today. So from that point, we started, okay, how and who would tell our parents? At that time, my dad was in a mission field in Taraba State. He's a missionary, so he goes from community to community planting churches. So at that time, he was in Taraba State, and then my mom was at home, and then we were where we were. Okay, my family is an hour away from, family house is an hour away from the state capital.
Okay.
And then everything was going on in Jos, which is the capital.
Okay.
So that I'll be able to say, when I say Jos, you
Yes.
mean it's
away from
yeah,
home, from
okay,
family
yeah,
house.
yes.
Yeah.
So she was home. So my sisters were, okay, who would tell mommy? Because of course it has to be mommy before daddy would hear, because daddy is
It's
away.
far, yeah.
So the debate went on and on, and I said, I'll tell her. I said, okay. So we went home with my elder sister to tell mommy. Of course, nobody could muster the courage to say it. So from that point, I knew I was very afraid of my mother. Like I was dead afraid of my mother. So when we went home and we couldn't say it, I just knew, no, Joy, you cannot stay at home. You cannot just stay at home.
Sorry to cut you there. I just want to ask this. If your dad was around at that time, would you have mustered the courage to perhaps say something?
Maybe. A very big maybe. So I just knew, no, I cannot stay at home, because of course I was going to come back and stay at home with mom.
Yes, after the whole
Good. So I could not. It's not possible. That's not what's going to. It cannot happen. So in my head, I just quickly disappeared.
Whoa. How old were you then?
Just disappeared.
Were you up to 20?
No, I was 18.
Whoa.
Yes, I was 18.
Wow.
So it was just disappeared. So at that point, I decided I was going to abscond, and I designed a plan in my head which was very beautiful. It was a plan that was definitely going to work. Now this is the plan. I was going to abscond to Kaduna. I was going to have my child. I was going to look for an orphanage and make an arrangement. I would stay in the orphanage and then have my child there, and then leave her there, leave the child there, because at that point I didn't know whether it was a he or a she. Leave the child there and then go to school, because I was still bent on going to school. I had a dream which I had told my parents long before this whole drama. Okay, quickly, had a ritual that he would ask if mommy had done anything that we did not like, or he did something that we didn't like, and we would say that. And then one of those sessions, he asked what we wanted to be in the future, what our ambitions were. So we are four girls. First said she wanted to be a doctor. Second said she wanted to be an accountant. Third said she wanted to be a lawyer. And I said I wanted to be a herbalist.
Herbalist? Okay.
So
I'm sorry.
From where? In which house?
I can imagine, like
I can remember very well that my mom did not even want to hear us mention the word magic. Like, let's play magic, and she did not want to hear.
And here you are wanting to.
Herbalist from where? Okay, everybody started. Herbalist. Daddy said, "Well, calm down, calm down. John, what is the work of a herbalist? Tell me." So I told him, "You see, I knew what I wanted to be. I knew." So I told him, "You see them running after people, or you see them reading on the television. You see them running after people with microphones, and then or you see them reading on the television, and everybody burst."
Oh my God!
It's not herbalist, it's journalist.
Oh my God!
So even with that, with the pregnancy, I wanted to go to school. So the plan was, back to the plan. I was going to go to Kaduna, stay at the orphanage, leave the child there. Of course, we now know a her, so it's very easy to just say it's her. Leave her there, and then go to school, finish school, and then come back and pay them off for what they have spent on us, and then go with my child. It was a perfect plan. Nothing could ever go wrong.
Right.
It was a plan.
It looks good.
Right. So after our attempt to tell my mother failed, we went back and I set my plan in motion. I didn't have money. I had no money at that time. But I was going to leave. Nothing was going to stop me. So that Monday morning, my sister, our first home, said she was married then, said I should come and meet her at home. I said, okay. That morning, everybody went to work. I was alone at home. So we had a family friend in the same compound we live. So we were in the BQ and they were in the main house. So I woke up that morning, I prepared food. I can remember, I still remember, yam porridge. Put in one mini cooler, picked my certificates. I had 114 naira on me. That was supposed to take me to my sister's house. That was enough to take me to my sister, but definitely nowhere close to get me out of Jos, let alone go to Kaduna. But I finished packed just the basic things I needed, my certificates, what I was just wearing, because of course I was just going to my sister's house. I was going to come back. So I told them in the main house, I'm going to my sister's house. I said, okay. And I left. Went out with my 140 naira and I just stood by the road and I stopped the vehicle. Where are you going to? Maraba Njama. If you know Jos very well, anyone who knows Jos very well, Maraba Njama is like an intersection from, let's say, Berger, for instance. Okay. You know, from Berger you go to, it's just an exit to, like that, exactly. Yeah. So that was where it took me. So imagine I'm leaving Lagos. Let's say I'm in Ikeja and I want to leave Lagos State to go to maybe Akure, and the money I had could only take me to Berger.
I see it now.
So I went, I stopped the vehicle, took me to Maraba Njama. I stopped. That was 100 naira to Maraba Njama.
40 naira. So
I had 40 naira left. I started trekking. I was determined to trek to Kaduna. It's funny now. I was determined to trek to Kaduna. So I started walking. I walked a distance. Several vehicles stopped. Where are you going to? Where are you going to? And interestingly, that's not even the road to Kaduna. That is to tell you that I didn't even know exactly where I was going to. I just knew that
just takes you out of what?
It takes me out good. I knew that was an exit. That's the exit route. But of course, the road to Kaduna is different.
Wow.
So I started going. Where are you going? Vehicles would stop. Where are you going to? Where are you going to?
What time was this?
In the morning.
Okay.
In the morning. Because I left the house in the morning. I was going to my sister's place. Okay. Let's say 9:10. So I kept going. I think I trekked for about an hour or so into my mind. One vehicle stopped. Where are you going to? I said, don't worry, thank you. He said, okay. He drove off. And then he reversed again. One girl was a Muslim elderly, was an allergy. Where are you going to? I said, I'm going to Kaduna. He said, this is not even the road to Kaduna. What? Get into the car. And I entered the car. And where are you going to? I said, I'm going to Kaduna. I said, do you really know where you're going to? This is not the road to Kaduna. This takes you to Abuja. What are you doing here? Abuja, Sha. And I said, I am going to Kaduna. Me, I know where I'm going to. Nobody will tell me where they go. So we went. He kept driving and kept interrogating. And then midway, he just said, you're running from home, right? You're pregnant. And I turned and looked at him and I was like, he said, why are you running? He was from Gombe. Why are you running? And he said, is the boy not taking responsibility? I said, he is. He said, why are you running away? I told him, I was afraid. I still wanted to go to school. And he said, okay. He was the director of one nursing school in Gombe State. So he said he would make me an offer. He would help me terminate the pregnancy since I want to go to school, and then enroll me in the nursing school if I want to, since I'm saying I want to go to school. And I told him, no, I don't. I want to go to Kaduna. I'm not ready to terminate the pregnancy. He said, okay. We drove. Along the line, his car developed some fault. He fixed it. Eventually, he got to one point where I could be in Kaduna, and he goes his Abuja way. So he said, here you get a vehicle to go to Kaduna. Do you have any money with you? I said, no. He said, okay. I don't have money. You saw that I fixed my car. I don't have any money. He stopped the bus and he paid them my transport. I said, take them to Kaduna. That was how I got to Kaduna.
Wow.
When I got to Kaduna, of course I didn't know Kaduna. I don't know. This is where we are in Kaduna. Okay.
Was there an orphanage you heard about in Kaduna, or
the only thing that why Kaduna came to my head was because I had a secondary school mate in Kaduna. And I didn't even tell her I was coming to Kaduna. I didn't even tell her. She was my last option. If push comes to shove. She was a last resort. So I went, I got to Kaduna. That was about evening at that point, 6:37. So
wow.
Got to Kaduna, and of course, it's not as if I had somewhere. So I again started trekking to where I don't know. In my head, I was going to work, and then I was going to walk around. If I see all those shops that would have somewhere like somewhere enclosed, I could just stay there. I started walking, and it was evening already, and it was at the peak of the Jos crisis. So I was not at my sister's place, I was not at home, and I didn't call anybody. And I told them from the house that I was going to my sister's house. So when everybody came back from work and where's Joy? Joy went to Jurit's house, that's my elder sister. And then, okay, Jurit, look, Joy is not here. Okay, so where is Joy? Started calling my number. I didn't pick anybody's call. They called and called and called and called. I didn't pick anybody's call. I was walking in between. Vehicles were stopping. Of course, I was a young girl. Young girl, where are you going to find girl? Everybody, bike, car, everybody stopped. I said, no, I was not going. Everybody. And then my dad started calling. That was a breaking point. I had tissue in my bag. I started crying. I was walking and crying.
Yet you did pick it.
I removed the tissue and I didn't pick his call. I was crying, I was cleaning my face. and then finally he sent messages. He kept calling, sending messages. And then he sent this message. He said, my Joy, whatever the problem is, come back home. We will sort it out.
Whoa, that touched me. Whoa.
That broke me into pieces. And then I still did not pick the call. I kept crying. And then, of course, vehicles were stopping. And one particular one again stopped, and I refused. I told him, no, thank you. He should be on his way. And then he drove off and then drove back again. The same way.
The first guy.
The same way this guy drove, and he drove directly at me, so I stopped and he parked and came out. And he said, what is it? At that point I was really crying.
You were weeping, like wailing.
What is it? I said he should leave me alone. He said, okay, he's not going to take me anywhere. He's not taking me anywhere. But he opened the passenger door and said, just sit down, calm down, and then you can go. Just calm down, and then you can go. I'm not taking you anywhere. I'm not forcing you. Just calm down. I noticed you were crying. I drove off. I noticed you. Just calm down. Sit down. I'm not taking you. When after that reassurance, I sat down. I was calm, and I said, "Thank you. Good night."
Like you were willing to even step out of the vehicle and go where?
I didn't enter the car. Because I just sat down.
Just sat down with your legs still.
Yes. I said, "Thank you." He said, "No, I cannot see you like this and then just let you go. I will not allow you." I said, "You don't know me. Let me be." He said, "No." I said, "No." He said, I finally agreed. He said, "Okay, what do you want?" At that point, I'm 14 naira, of course.
Right.
When I got to Kaduna, I exhausted the 14 naira buying pure water. At that time, pure water was very cheap. So pure water finished. I bought water. Kaduna was, of course, Kaduna is very hot. So he said, "What do you want?" I said, "I just want water." He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." We went, got me water. And he said, "Where are you going to?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "How? I thought you said I should allow you. You were going. Where are you going to?" Finally, he said, "Okay, I can take you to my house. It's a family house. But my sisters, I'm alone there. My sisters are not around. They come in person. I can take you while you figure out whatever it is." His name is Farouk, and I'm still looking for him.
Oh my God. Oh.
That's the only name. I lost my phone, so I lost his contact.
Oh my God.
He's Farouk. He's a Muslim from Zamfara State. That is the only thing I can remember about him.
Oh my God.
He took me to the house, and then he kept, of course, asking. My phones were ringing. I was not picking anybody's call. When they called, I said, "Don't pick this call if you don't want to be in trouble. You don't know me, and just don't pick it." Through the night, he kept asking. I didn't sleep that night. I was crying throughout. Following morning, he said he was going to watch football, and then he was going to play football. Went to play football, came back home, and what would you have? Chap prepared breakfast and all of that. The way I'm explaining this will be long. He prepared breakfast, and then we were watching NCA that morning. For some weird reasons, the show that morning was talking about teenage pregnancy. For some weird reasons, I don't know. So when the anchor was speaking, I was responding. And then he turned and looked at me again and said, "You're pregnant, right?" I said, "Why?" He said, "The way you're responding, and you refuse to say anything about you." So now I finally said, "Yes, this is," and he said, "What happened?" And I told him what happened, and this is my mission. He said, "Okay." He will help me. He would have loved to. Since this is what I want, he would have loved to let me stay here, see when I have my baby, go to school and do whatever I want to do. But this is his family house, and of course, because of religious differences, he cannot allow me stay here. I said, "No problem," but we would look for orphanages together. He would help me. We would look for orphanages together. I said, "Okay." We went around looking for orphanages. All the orphanages we went to, one of them said they didn't have space. A lot of them said they didn't have space. One of them was willing to accept me, but I was Christian, and it's a Muslim orphanage. So they said they don't want to have any trafficking. Let it be as if they are trying to traffic me or something. So they can't take me, but they would have loved to help me. So one of them took my number and said they usually have partners that would want to help people in situations like this. So if anyone comes around,
they'll give you a call.
They will give me a call. I said, "No problem, fine, that's okay." We went back, and he said, "Well, I cannot keep staying there because any of his siblings could just pop in, and he does not have an explanation to give. Do I have anybody I can go be with before pending when
they call
me?" So that was where my friend came in. I said, I have a secondary school mate that I can call. So I called her and she said, okay, no problem. I can come. Even though she's in her uncle's place, she will take me to her family house. Her parents were late, her mom and dad, but stepmother was still alive and still with her. So she would just tell them that, of course, peak of just crisis, we were affected by the crisis and everybody's displaced, just cover story.
Right.
It worked, and I went there, stayed there for some time and for a while, and then the orphanage called that someone came around, one of their partners came, and she's a nurse, and they told her about me and they were willing to help me.
By that time, we were already showing signs. It wasn't showing.
So I went there, I saw the couple, and okay, we agreed, so, you come, they said they'll come pick me up after 2 weeks. I said, no problem. 2 weeks came and we agreed. I went to the orphanage, met the family, and we traveled to where they were staying. I don't know them. I did not know them from anywhere. When we went, that was in Kaduna, right? They live about almost 100 kilometers away from Kaduna town, where the local government is called Ikara. Very far away, like more than 100. What did I say? 100? Okay, from Ikara to Zaria is about 100 kilometers. I think 70 something or almost 100 kilometers. That's from the local government to Zaria, and then Zaria to Kaduna. So it was a journey, of course, and I'd never been there,
Right.
but because I needed a place,
Yes.
a safe place to
Have your child.
and live, so I went with them. Started staying with them. They had 2 girls between 7 and 8, and then the couple. I started living with them. It was just a room and a parlor. So the wife, the couple are in the room, myself and the girls sleep in the living room. She was a nurse. Maybe she is a nurse, whichever one. So
The
that
girls, are they the children?
one of them is the man's daughter, and the other one was her niece. So at that time she was off duty, night off. So she was home for a week. When I came, we were at home throughout.
Together.
Yeah, morning, afternoon, night, all of that. So they have a shop. He's an Igbo man, but she is from Kaduna. So he would go to the shop. Sometimes we would go together. So when she resumed work after her off, was it night off? No, I think she was on her off duty to start night duty. So when she, after a week, she resumed work, and then he comes back home very late.
The man.
Yeah. So that night he came back home around 10. Because Kaduna is very hot. I am pregnant. I didn't think anyone or someone would be looking at me. So I was just in the night, I had just wrapper to sleep. I'll just tie her around my chest and sleep. So that night he came back from the shop and then he called me. He said I should come. He wants to speak with me. He was inside the bedroom. So I went. He started blabbing. He wants me to be very free with him, yada yada yada, and all of those things. I said, I'm very free with you. If I have any, you people have been very nice to me, and if I have any concern, of course I'll let your wife know. But for now, I am very, I don't have any challenge or anything. But yeah, if I have any that I need to tell, I'll let you know. He kept going on and on about it, and next thing he was pulling me to the bed. I told him, if you don't leave me, I'll shout. Now, leverage. The wife had told me it's a compound. There were other people, just two of them in the compound.
Okay.
They were both Igbos. So the other family had boys that they were, you know, the
Right.
Igbo,
Yeah.
the normal
Together,
group.
yeah.
So they had boys that were living with them. So their apartment there was a flat outside, then the building where that family was, a room and parlor, and then there were blocks of a room each down. So the boys were there. So we were almost on the same.
Right.
We could hear their voice, and if I should speak very
They
loud,
would hear
they would
yours
my
too.
voice. So there was activity in the compound. So I told him, if you don't leave me, I will. Okay, first I told him, I'll tell your wife. He said I should tell her now. I should tell her he does not care. That did not work. I told him, if you don't leave me, I will shout. He said, so I started raising my voice, so he left me. That was around, because he came back around 10, so that was around 11:30, thereabouts. So when, after that drama, I just came back dressed up and I went out. I called the wife, told her, please, can I come and meet her in the hospital? She said, what is it? It's not safe. This is not for stereotype, but just for description reasons. It is a Muslim community. There were almajiris everywhere. You can just be walking around in the afternoon and one almajiri will just touch your breast and there's nothing you do about it. So that is how dangerous it could be outside in the night at that
Especially
time.
at night, yeah.
So she said, it's not safe. I can't come. Is everything alright? I said, yes, everything is alright, but can I come and meet her? She said, if everything is alright, then please I should wait till morning. I said, okay. I should not go back inside. The house is, I think they were going to construct a story building or
So there was a
something. So there was a decking on top. So I just went to the decking and I stayed in the decking till morning.
Eh?
I stayed there till morning. When he had left for his shop and she came back from work, and then I came down because I knew I was monitoring. When I went down, I told her what happened because I told him I was going to tell her what, because I felt that this woman was being good to me. So why would I? Do you understand? So I told her, and she said, "Thank you very much for telling me." And life went on. 2 weeks later, a week later, she was done with her night duty and she was home. So one
You
afternoon,
didn't make any other
no, there was no. Okay, the following day he came back and said, so I told him I was going to report to his wife, and I did it. I said, yes, I told you I was going to report. I was not bluffing. I was going to do it. He said, okay, now that I've told her what? So that afternoon, she said, let's take a walk. I said, okay. We went out. We went to a very far, walked to a very far, long distance place, very quiet, uncompleted building. Still remember that. She sat down, we just fresh air, normal talk, and then let's go back home. When we were going back home, she said there's something she wanted to discuss with me. I said, okay. That it's about what happened. That she's very grateful that I told her what happened. That she really likes me, I'm a good person. Some long talk.
Yeah.
But she wants to say that for the sake of peace, if her husband comes back again, I shall allow him. As Ma, anything? She said I shall allow him. I said okay. I said okay, and we were just like Abraham and Isaac were walking up, we were cool, dead silent. And I said, but Ma, I'm sorry, no, I can't. I can't do that. She said, no, it's just for peace to reign, you know. I said, no, I can't. When we went back, 2 days later, I called the orphanage and I told the manager, see what is going on. And the man went, I know that I'm staying with them. I should just play along with them.
Ah, really? Things like this happen.
I should just play along with them. I said, okay. So I was still there. I was still there. A week went on, and then she came one evening and said they had a spare room just down the block. And if anybody knows me, I don't like cockroaches. I don't like, I hate those. They are evil. I don't know how to describe how much I don't like. It is bad that I am afraid of cockroaches.
God, really?
To put it safe. She came back one evening. It will make sense. She came back one evening and said, her husband said, since I refused to agree to the arrangement, I should start sleeping in that spare room. I said, Ma? She said that I should start sleeping in the spare room. I said, okay. At that point, I knew that no.
So I'm sorry, they had the spare room.
I cannot.
And you guys were staying in the living room. So why didn't they just fix up the spare room for you and the girls? Was it like a store? Or what?
It was like a store.
Oh.
It was like a store. It was pretty. That is why you have plenty cockroaches there.
I mean, that is like, oh my
The
God.
cockroaches were, and you can walk in and see 5, 3, 4. No, I can't even stand one, let alone 3, 4, 5.
Right?
It's not possible. I just knew that no, this is not this arrangement is not working for me. It's not working for me. I said okay, no problem. Before I went there, of course I didn't have any money again. Apart from that, I didn't have any money. There was no money from anywhere. So one random day we were gisting with my friends' cousins in the house, and somebody brought out one fake 500 naira. And we were gisting. After the random gist, I said, please, that 500, give me. In my head, I knew it was going to come handy for me. I didn't know how, but I just knew I needed something. So I collected the 500 and I kept it. So that was the money. I knew it was fake money, but that was the money I had. So at that point, I started, okay, I would have to leave this place anyway, anyhow. So I don't know when, I can't remember when exactly the market day for that community was. But on the market day, the husband had gone to the market. She was on duty, so she went to one of his shops to manage. I woke up that morning, did everything I needed to do, and packed my bags and went to meet her. I told her, thank you very much for everything, but I cannot move to that room. I'm sorry, I'll have to. She said, okay, no problem, all right.
Wow.
I was hoping she would say, okay, take transport or something.
Knowing
She didn't offer, I didn't ask. I left. I started working again.
hey, this work thing, Joy, I don't understand. The kind of, you could just be walking like.
I started working again. Like I said, Ikara to Kaduna to Zaria first off. That's how you break the journey. Ikara to Kaduna, to Zaria to inside Kaduna. So it was about 100 kilometers. So how I was going to even walk it, I didn't even know safe. I started walking again. I went to the neighbor's shop and I met the wife and I said, please, can she help me with 500 naira? And she said, let her ask her husband. So she asked the husband said no, they're having some issues.
With the people
So if they give me money, it's going to be as if they help me to something like that. So we didn't want. I said, she don't worry, I want. She said no. I said, okay, no problem. Started trekking again. That was about morning. Let's say noon thereabouts. I started walking. I walk. It was about evening. And then I was in a bushy area, very quiet, forest-like situation. It was getting dark. And I was walking and then all of a sudden somebody just appeared behind me. A guy was walking behind me. From where now? I kept monitoring. It was getting darker. When I doubled up, he also doubled up. So I knew this person was following me.
Right.
So out of nowhere, it was a market day, so of course there was activity. The road was busy. Out of nowhere, I just put my hand and stopped the bus. Entered the bus and went to Zaria. I didn't have money, but I had that 500 naira. So when they asked for money, I gave them the conductor the 500 naira. And of course, it was very obvious. It was very obvious that this is fake money. So he collected the money and immediately he knew it was. So he showed the driver. The driver said, "No, they can't take this money." So he came back. He said, "They can't take this money." I said, "Okay." I said, "Give me back my money." He gave me back my money. I put it in my back and I sat down quietly in the bus. When we got to the park, he stopped. Okay, where's the money? I sat down quietly in the car and I said, "That's the only money I have." The driver started ranting. If I needed help, I would have told him. So long story short, he let me go. I apologized and he allowed me. I still do not have money to go to Kaduna. And Kaduna was still a long journey ahead. So I just stood there. There was a bus there. And I went to meet the driver and said, "Please, can you take me to Kaduna?" And he said, "Well, he can take me to Kaduna if I would have sex with him, since I don't have money." I said, "No, thank you." I left. I just stood just ahead of the park, and of course, men will always stop.
This Farouk guy, you didn't call him back to let him know where you were? What was it? It didn't even cross your mind.
I already knew that nothing was going to come out from Farouk.
Right.
So there was no point calling him back to start bothering him with. And I don't know, for some reason should I say stubbornly independent. I didn't want to put any of my burdens on Farouk again, because he had done his part. He had played a part, and I clearly seen that there was no way. He had told every means where he could help me, he had helped me. And I didn't have an account to say, okay, I would, he could send me money and all of that. So there was no point calling Farouk. I was just going to survive anyway, anyhow. So eventually, another person stopped, and of course it's Zaria, and then AB is around that place. So it was a young guy, and I was like, "Where are you going to?" I said I was going to Kaduna. I said, "This night, this is almost 9:30 to 10. Why are you going this late? You can just come and stay with me." I said, "No, thank you." He said, "Okay." He was about to drive, but I said, "Please, I need your help." He said, "What?" I said, "I need to go to Kaduna, but I don't have money. I don't have transport." He said he just finished hanging out with his friends, and he does not have money with him, but let him check around. And he checked and he got 500. Was it? I think it was 500, 450 thereabouts, and he gave me. I said, "Thank you." That was enough to take me to Kaduna at that time. I think 300 was to take me to Kaduna, so I had still had 150 left. So I went back to the park and I entered the bus, and it was an empty bus. So we were going to wait for people, for the bus to get filled up before we go the take off. We were at that park till about almost 11-ish. We kept waiting, nobody came, and then one person came, one man. The moment I turned my eyes and I saw him, he was smoking. I was irritated. Like, I still remember the irritation I felt with that particular person when he arrived at the park. I was sitting in front. and he came and asked me to move inside. I'm like, why? This is where I want to sit down. That I'm a girl, I shouldn't be sitting down by the door, it's late. So you're not ready to enter the door. I was irritated, so I was very rude. Eventually came into the bus and sat down. Johnny started and he was initiating conversations.
You know, right? The look on your face, the way you said it, he was initiating conversation. Like, what's going on? I don't even want to see your face.
But he disturbed that I engaged eventually. Asked, where are you going to? I said I was going to Goningora. That was another journey from where the bus was going to stop. So I was like, Goningora this night? I'm not allowing you. I said, who are you? You not allow me. Who are you? He said, you not allow me go. I didn't even answer him. So he kept talking. He kept disturbing. So when we were almost at the park, he said, I didn't tell him my name. I'll not allow you go to Goningora this night. It is late and it is not safe for you to go to Goningora this night. So when we got to the park, I eventually, from the beginning of when I left home, that was the first time I gave myself a pep talk and I was in touch with reality. That was the first time I told myself to calm down. It's actually not safe to go this night. One, what would you go and tell them in the house that, where are you coming from? You get home maybe by 1 or 2 a.m. Where are you coming from? That is one. How will you even get there? You don't have money. 150 will not take you there. What's the explanation? Because I was not so familiar with the terrain, so I gave myself pep talk to agree to follow this man. So he said, you not allow me. When he pressured, I said, okay. The interesting thing about him, about that very fellow, was that he was just transferred to Kaduna that week. He was working in Kano and he was coming back from a work trip in, was it Jigawa? That axis. So that was his first week in Kaduna. So he didn't have a house. He was staying in a hotel. So he was not going to allow me go home. I was going to follow him to his hotel. Wow. So I followed him. He kept asking me, who are you? I told him I'm a witch.
I'm sorry. But you know what? Something that just strikes me here is how all through the journey someone just kept showing up. At every point there was just someone showing up. Say, okay, you know what? I know you're stubborn, but you're not going to go here.
There was someone that kept insisting at every point. That's why I still say that I am definitely God's favorite.
You see, it makes me, it calls to remembrance there's this study I'm doing with my friends. It's a Bible study by Sarah Lee Cobbs or something. And we are getting to understand the character of God in a different dimension. It's so enlightening. Like, God will just see, I don't know, the way God does his thing, you can't understand.
Tiniest of situations.
Do you understand? He kept showing up. And I'm sure by that time you didn't even think that God was showing up. And that is why a lot of times I tell people, it doesn't have to be so glaring. It doesn't have to be some very big, extravagant event for you to know that God is actually involved in your life and story. The tiniest details. If we can but open our eyes to see every day, we will see that his mercies are new
every morning. Like every morning.